stay hidden.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast with Kathy, who's just joining us. She just got off the plane.
Yes.
I just flew in from my
what dedication
movies I'm working on. Jesus,
This is how close we cut these things, folks.
Yeah. We're constantly moving. Cinemondo never stops. As soon as the show's over, we're off. Jets to all points.
Yeah, I'm back to Antarctica for me. The research center. Have a lot of work to do.
But we have science, people. Science.
Yes.
Science.
But we're going to talk about something today we've talked about before a little bit, and it goes back to our, sort of primal love for all things Star Wars, I guess. You can kind of love, hate it a little bit. Not hate, maybe. Love, not so much love some of the Star Wars stuff. There's been a huge flood of Star Wars television products in recent years. We've had the Mandalorian and the Boba Fett show and the breakout star Baby Yoda, and the most recent one is Obi-Wan, and I think big star in that one.
Yeah,
and he was
stars.
multiple stars.
Yeah.
But Ewan McGregor was in the prequel films as Obi-Wan, and in those sort of not loved prequels. But people are actually in recent years kind of coming to where they're sort of saying they weren't so bad.
Are they?
It's just the bar is the highest it can be when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's for people, it is just their thing. It has to be great. And if it's not great every time, people are going to pick it apart. That's just when the fandom is so dedicated, that's what happens. And I think, if you're part of that world, if you're a filmmaker, that going in, we have to keep, the effects have to get better. The story has to get more interesting. Blah, blah. And the thing is about the Mandalorian, it exceeded expectations. At least, I'll talk about I was blown away by that show.
I was too.
I thought it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it was really fun.
It felt really fresh too, because I feel like we weren't retreading old characters. We had some familiarity around the fringes a little bit, but we didn't know a ton about the Mandalorian when they decided to make a whole show about him. So I feel like there's some elements of discovery with that show. Like you got to see the new characters, you got to see Baby Yoda, you got to see the guy beneath the helmet. So I feel like there was some new stuff inside of a story that we knew very well. So that's the part I liked about Mandalorian.
And it was interesting because the stories were short too. The episodes were short, so it was a different style of storytelling. They kind of had to make it move, So each episode, there's action. It's action packed, Yeah. But Obi-Wan show is a little bit back to a normal type of storytelling where there's some things that kind of plod along. It's my least favorite of the three, I have to say, but it has its moments. And one thing that I like that it's getting back to a bit is that vibe, which I think the prequel films kind of missed that sort of junk bin aesthetic. That's what I call it, where the world looks like it's old and it's lived in. The prequels, what they call the prequels, those films that people don't like so much. It was about royalty. It was about the best. It was princess, queen, about the best Jedis. So all of their stuff was brand new and clean and fancy and expensive. And Queen Amidala had the hairdos and the costuming and the wardrobe. And to me, that wasn't nearly as interesting as the aesthetic of the original Star Wars films, where there was Luke Skywalker, a farmer, and a farm boy, and the princess of a planet that doesn't exist anymore, and a smuggler, and a big talking, a big dog that walks on his hind legs, Chewbacca, and those were just ragtag. You love those people, but the prequels, you don't really love anybody in those prequels. No. And unfortunately, this film has a kind of they kind of get back to that sort of junk bin aesthetic because Obi-Wan isn't, he's not like wealthy or anything. He's kind of living in the streets. But for some reason, it doesn't have. I don't know why, but I just didn't really love the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He was kind of boring.
Yeah.
I mean, it was down to it. He was kind of this quiet guy, didn't say a lot. And then he spent most of his time saying, "No, Leia, stop. No, Leia."
Or get someone else to do this. I'm not the right person.
Yeah, kind of
in the slowest way possible. And I felt like what I wanted to see is he's this incredibly, like, he became very reclusive, but he's starting to come back out and find his power. I don't know why they would hijack this character arc of self-discovery and renewing his powers and all that into this stupid, this not very convincing kidnapping plot that had no suspense because nothing ever happens to Leia. Nothing. And the initial kidnapping was so bumbling and ridiculous, where these trained assassins are kidnapping Leia and they're chasing this toddler through the woods, running into trees and tripping over logs. It was the dumbest.
Yeah, it was
slow motion, dumb. You could easily have caught her in 5 seconds.
It was
powers.
It was shocking because Deborah Chow, who directed these episodes, directed some of the I thought some of the best Mandalorian episodes. I mean, the action was crisp and intense and sharp, and really it got your spine tingling. This was exactly the opposite. So it seems like it's a calculated move. We're going to sort of make this, target this maybe more for younger kids.
Yeah,
get the 8 or 9 year old boys and girls to make believe they are sort of like Leia, and they're in this adventure. And it felt a little dumbed down's not the right word. It just felt like it was like we're going for like the Disney Junior fans here.
Yeah, it felt very safe, very cheap. It didn't. I feel like it lost an edge that Mandalorian had, and and even Boba Fett, which I didn't think was as good as Mandalorian, looks like a masterpiece compared to this.
Yeah. And
it didn't have any kind of grit. There was no atmosphere. All the rocks looked like Star Trek rocks, like super fake. And there was no, I didn't understand the spatial and time plot holes that were happening. Like the weird, how long it would take to get somewhere and running down a tunnel. And then all of a sudden you're back in where you were before. And then they're catching things on fire and then trying to make the fire bigger the whole thing was weird. And even the ship within a ship thing, that Darth Vader, he was holding the ship back when they were trying to escape from that cave.
Yeah.
And then the other ship takes off. It's like, well, can't he do it for that ship? I didn't understand what happened. Like, why? So there was just some logic holes that I was like, oh, how are they going to? Oh, they just did. Okay, well, I guess they got away. And how did, I don't know. I have a lot of plot hole problems with this show.
It had some weird issues. I felt the same way, but I think the final episode kind of redeemed it a little bit. The last episode was really fun, and it had an epic kind of a feel to it. Yeah. But then again, like you mentioned, it has that problem that prequels. Yeah. It's inherent with prequels. Mm-hmm. You know that nothing's going to happen to Princess Leia. You know that Luke Skywalker is completely safe. Mm-hmm. You know that Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. It's not a spoiler. They survive the series. And you can't really worry. There was one ending, like a cliffhanger ending in one of the episodes where she finds the communicator and finds out where Luke is, and it seems like the way it was filmed, you're supposed to go, oh no, she's going to go get Luke.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to Luke? And it's like, well, I know she fails.
Yeah.
Because Luke, but
Luke goes on to do pretty well.
Yeah, Luke's okay.
He's all right.
And Luke never really, he doesn't have any scars or anything like that from his encounter with her. And, he doesn't talk about it all the time or anything. So it must not have been a big deal.
And actually the last episode, like you said, it almost redeems it, but it also makes the rest of the episodes look worse. Right. Because it was so much better. And also anytime Darth Vader was in there, it sort of came to life a little bit,
Yeah.
And then when he would leave or, whatever he does, yell at people and leave or whatever. Right. It's like then you're stuck with these super boring characters that go, now what do we do? I don't know. Let's talk about it a lot. Let's spend 10 minutes talking about how we're not going to be able to do it. Oh no, we did it.
Yeah. Darth Vader was pretty cool in this. He had James Earl Jones's actual voice. So that was another returning. Yeah. And he's returning from the original films. You know, he's the actor that was in the original films, which is kind of cool. But evidently Hayden Christensen actually played the body of Darth Vader. Yeah. Even though you see him briefly, and you see him in a flashback.
I like the flashback, where they show him. You got to revisit him being that character, because I was like, are they never going to show him, or is it just going to be with all that makeup? And I'm glad they did that, because I really did want to see that. So I appreciate that they spent that time giving that actor that moment, because you're like, well, you have Hayden Christensen, you're just really not going to show him. I mean, it's kind of a waste. Like, why would you do it? So I did enjoy that. But yeah, when he was around, it definitely picked up. But even then, like the fight between him and Obi-Wan Kenobi, where he drags Obi-Wan Kenobi into the fire, and so unconvincing, not
the choreography of the fight scenes,
so dark and dingy and slow, and
it's just not. It doesn't have the sharpness. I mean, I go back to if you go back to the Phantom Menace, the first prequel, that's. It's got Jar Jar Binks. It's very, it's sort of soapy and corny, and it feels like it has that vibe to it, which
kind
was
kids for kids kind of thing.
Kids, and I think it's like Disney wants to go. This is all ages have to enjoy Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But George Lucas's original idea was a Saturday matinee. Right. The serials that used to be, the popular. I mean, before George Lucas's time, really. Yeah. Where it was just the sort of Flash Gordon adventures, and the titles of all the movies, The Phantom Menace, and all those kind of things. But I like the aesthetic. A friend of mine did the props on the show, so I have to say good things about the props. And somebody I worked with for a long time who does great work. And there's a scene in it where Obi-Wan digs up the box of the lightsabers. And that's sort of an iconic thing for people who follow props, because he opens it up and it's like, those are the iconic lightsabers. It had Luke's lightsaber that Obi-Wan eventually gives to Luke, and the first thing Luke does when he gets it is he goes, which is kind of funny. But the Obi-Wan lightsaber is made out of junk, and I love the fact that you can look at a close-up picture and you can go, oh, that's the. And I have one here, so I can actually put it together while you guys are talking. But one of the funniest things is the bottom of it. This is a sync knob, and you can actually see the H on it. Yeah, this is a hot one because it's got
red ring. Yeah,
that's really fun.
The rest of it is, this is part of a machine gun from World War II. Wow. This is part of a launchable hand grenade from World War II. This is part of a Graflex old-fashioned camera flash attachment. Those are the little things from an old calculator. The little numbers, the little number magnifiers from a calculator. Wow. And these are parts from a Rolls-Royce jet engine. These are just, parts that they found in a junk bin. I love that the old prop makers found these things and just put them together into this super iconic prop,
Yeah, that's neat.
That's really cool. And that's always been kind of its charm, is the kind of junk props, like that they put together, and all the practical, effects and weapons and just props they basically use that aren't fancy or super high tech. Like, I love that they're kind of cobbled together. That's really cool.
It's like stuff that it looks like it's really kind of just laying around in this world,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that is cool. But I just go back to why I loved The Mandalorian and the original Star Wars stuff. Mm-hmm. And this one for me, it misses the mark. And I think it is because they try to be all things to all people. They try to say, we're going to get the kids involved in this. This is Disney. Maybe The Mandalorian was a little too harsh, maybe for young kids, or even Boba Fett. I don't know. I don't know. Is that their thinking? Why couldn't they keep it going with? Maybe it's me because it's not Filoni and Jon Favreau that are involved.
Right. Yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah, that's huge.
They were the two people that were behind both of those shows. They're not involved in this.
Yeah. It showed. It really did. It didn't have the relevance. It didn't have the humor. It didn't have that edge that I think they had. There was some really smart casting in Boba Fett and Mandalorian that was fun. They tried to kind of do it with Flea, but he wasn't very good. And it was kind of painful. And I just, it's always risky. And I know it's not cool to slam child actors because they're little kids. And I get it. Yeah. But I don't think they did any favors for any of these actors, overall, because they didn't give them a ton to do. I mean, you have Ewan McGregor couldn't even make his character interesting. How's a little kid going to do that? So I felt like Leia wasn't believable for 1 second, and they tried to sort of film around her. You could see the cuts, you could see the painful process of trying to work with kid actors, and then having Ewan McGregor reduced to being a babysitter, and I just hated that. And it's like I feel like they took this powerful character and just didn't use him.
It was almost like they were trying to sell her as the baby Yoda of this show. They wanted her to become the thing that everybody loves, little Leia, baby Leia.
Don't try to make a kid cute. They either are or they are. It's in the character. Either it works or it doesn't. You try to make them cute, they can be really annoying. That's sad to say.
It has the opposite effect.
Well, when you have they're trying to show how Leia was this rebel, she's very strong. She was just annoying, and because she didn't pay attention or listen to her parents, she got kidnapped by dumbasses who fell over trees. She still got kidnapped by those terrible people. Yeah. It's like it just fell so flat, and there were so many wasted opportunities. And I was really sad.
That's another one of those things.
I was going to say, I think flat is the perfect term for this. Yeah. It fell flat. It's not terrible. Yeah. It's not awful.
It's okay. Yeah, it's fine.
But it doesn't ring up. It doesn't get up there with the Mandalorian. And Obi-Wan should be the best of the three. It should be.
Yeah.
Should have been this should have been the topper.
Yeah. Exactly. So it was disappointing that way.
Yeah.
So
it's a high bar. I get it. It's really hard to hit that. Especially with the fan.
Lightsaber. That's
look at that.
Like.
Just did it magically in the background.
Yeah. Now turn it on.
I don't have my Kyber crystal.
Damn it. That's so sad. But yeah, so that's basically, our Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There's a lot of money on screen. There's a lot of good Joel Edgerton is great in it too. There's a lot of good actors. It's just you go and go, boy, this is it's a disappointment.
It's not the Mandalorian.
But I felt like the last episode helped a lot, but I mean, it has what you expect. It's not a spoiler to say that there is a huge confrontation between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader that happens in a way, because what's weird is that in the first Star Wars film, when Obi-Wan and Darth Vader meet in the Death Star, when they have their big fight on the Death Star and Obi-Wan sacrifices himself, that whole scene. Mm-hmm. Darth Vader says something, when we last met, I was the learner and you were the teacher, or I was the student, or whatever. And you kind of think, well, it wasn't, because you were already Darth Vader if the events in Obi-Wan happen. But then the final episode has something happen when they fight that makes you realize that Obi-Wan is still more powerful, and that Anakin is still Anakin in there, and he kind of has this it's interesting to see Darth Vader it's not a spoiler, but beaten in kind of an embarrassing way by Obi-Wan Kenobi, who basically It basically points out Anakin is still a kid, and Obi-Wan has the he's taken the high ground, and it's kind of a great scene, actually. And then, but unfortunately he walks away from him again, he's really,
see, that's another problem. They did that constantly.
You got to kill the guy. You got to go ahead and just kill him. Sorry.
People did that constantly. They were in these big fights, and they'd walk away. The guy would get better, come after him again, like big shot. Yeah. Like, okay.
I know.
It was just so stupid.
It happens with another character in Obi-Wan too, where Darth Vader kills someone but doesn't kill them enough.
I know.
I'm just going to drag him into the flames. See ya.
Right.
Like, oh, come on. But I think part of it too is it's really under a weight of the huge expectations of the franchise in general. So it's in this little tiny box of Star Wars mythology that's already existing that they have to try and work their way through. I think they could have done that better by just giving Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of a serialized meeting and going through different processes to, regain his strength and his confidence, instead of having this contrived, storyline that they could have wrapped up in a day. Instead we had like 6 episodes of this completely stupid kidnapping plot, and then leading to the confrontation that you've just been waiting for the whole time. And then it's like, okay, but I would love to just have a confrontation, go to another and solve another problem, just like Mandalorian. It's almost serialized.
It's episodic. It's episodic, and this wasn't. This was like one long story that was. I guess
it wasn't that interesting a story.
Script, and so.
Well, that's the thing you were just saying with the kidnapping thing. It's like I never felt scared for baby Leia. I knew that Obi-Wan was going to save her. Yeah. And so therefore all the you've undermined all of your suspense by making a prequel. I don't know, there could have been some something else at stake. There could have been other new characters that we didn't know that were in peril.
Exactly.
That maybe we would learn who they became, or something where you didn't know someone's fate, but someone you care about. You were supposed to care about Obi-Wan. We're supposed to care about Leia and Luke, but we don't worry about them.
Nope.
We don't feel suspense for them. So it's hard to. But there were other characters that we could have gotten to know better, and they could have been put in peril or something. Mm-hmm. And some of those characters we did get to know, and they did. There is a reason why we didn't see them in the other Star Wars stories.
Yes, exactly. Right. Well, that was the thing too, the lack of suspense again, like prequelitis that you were talking about. I don't think it ruined anything. I just felt like it was a missed opportunity. It just felt like it was like half there. It didn't really feel fully fleshed out. It didn't feel.
I watched all of them.
I watched all of them. I watched all the spin-offs. I've watched. I'm just going to keep watching it because I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
It's Disney.
But I didn't really look forward to watching it. Like at the last few episodes, I was like, I guess we can watch Obi-Wan Kenobi tonight. Okay, let's do our homework, take our medicine, let's watch Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that's not fun. It should have been fun. It should have been more exciting, but yeah,
I agree.
There it is. There it is. Ta-da.
Our take, what? There'll be other Star Wars series coming, and I'm sure they'll bring them back up. We expect the world from Disney, Star Wars.
High expectations.
They have no budget issues. That cost $200 for one ticket to Disneyland. Let's see it on screen.
I hope this is a lesson that you need Jon Favreau. You need him. It's not. You can't just throw off your Star Wars products to anybody and think it's going to work. It's not.
Right.
Jon Favreau has the magic.
He's got the
magic somehow. I don't know what it is, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So let's see him do the next one. Hopefully they learn that lesson.
Yeah. All right.
Take care, everybody. See you.
Good props, though.
Good props.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.